calendar has a lot of
big room.
We're all set whenever you're ready.
All right. 7:04, calling the West Hartford Clean Energy Commission to order on June 23rd. This meeting is being recorded by West Hartford Community Interactive. Good evening. We'll start off with a roll call. Joe Campanella.
Here.
Catherine Deviney.
here.
James Capella.
Present.
Stephen Sack.
Here.
And from the community, Hendree Milward. There you go. And I'm Bernie Pelletier. Good evening, everybody. First order of business would be to approve our minutes. I get a motion to approve our minutes from our last meeting, from the May 26th meeting.
I make a motion.
Second.
Any objections? Hearing none, we've accepted those minutes. Let me ask you, are you pretty much, is this our agenda visible to all of you?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So, thought we just, some of these are redundant with the old business, but I wanted to pull them out and just talk through them a little bit. We had on Father's Day an EV event in Town Hall parking lot. James, you were instrumental in putting it together. It was a pretty good event. Stephanie Bahramian, as well as the Connecticut Clean Cities Coalition, is that the right group? Sort of co-sponsored it. We didn't. It was hard to sort of track the number of people that we had. Estimating just I don't know. Just visually, that we might have had 60 or 70 people sort of over the course of 3 hours. People were really interested in the vehicles that were there. Everybody was a little bit disappointed. We thought at one point we were going to have a Ford F-150 pickup truck, but for a variety of reasons we didn't have that. But there's a lot of interest in that vehicle.
Did that cause a problem, Bernie? Because I only found out from when we were exchanging emails the other day that it wasn't there.
Yeah, I can't say it caused a problem. Some people came exclusively for that vehicle, and then they were kind of disappointed. But nobody walked off in a huff. Everybody, we had the Mustang. A resident brought a Mustang in. That was sort of a draw. We had a Volkswagen ID4. We had a Volvo XC40. We had a Bolt and a Leaf, and people were really inquisitive about them. So it was a little bit of bait and switch, I suppose, but I think it worked out. It's fine.
Okay.
I think, James, this is part of a series, right? There was one in Bloomfield.
Right. The one in Bloomfield was actually a couple of weeks ago. Part of Stephanie's plan is that she wants to do this throughout the state. So she wants to bring awareness to each of the communities, town by town, by doing something exactly like what we just had on Sunday. I did connect her to one of the chairs in the Farmington group. And I know she was reaching out to other towns as well. I think South Windsor was one, Manchester, like a little bit north of us. But this is something that she wants to do statewide.
Well, when I spoke with her, because she was at the event, I think pretty much for the duration. I think it would be great if we could do this again, say in the fall, even here. She commented that West Hartford is a desirable place because we're central, and I guess it's a recognition of any sort is good. But she says we have a nice parking lot.
Now, and
Okay.
you guys used the part, it looked from the photos, you guys were in front of the main entrance to town hall. Because usually when we do those events, we have the little triangle area by the south entrance up near the Main Street section.
Yep.
But James, did Brooke put you in that other location, or did you choose that?
No, we chose the Chargers. I don't know if so. Unfortunately, I wasn't there at the event, and my apologies, same thing. But Stephanie, I talked to her on Saturday because she was like, we have to drop these vehicles off, you know. So maybe she had put them in an area that.
No, that makes sense. I forgot that the chargers are right there in the front of the,
Oh, okay.
so that makes perfect sense why you guys did it over there.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, it was kind of funny. There were the whole session. There were 1 or 2 cars there at all times, and people would go over and look at those cars as well. There was a Volkswagen Golf, which is actually a fairly rare electric vehicle, as well as a Tesla. So it actually added to the complement of cars that we had. I think the publicity was good. We got on the West Hartford webpage. We got into WeHa. Thanks to Max, to Boisson, he's not on. He made a nice flyer. So I think we're learning our way around the publicity world. Joe, I think we sort of followed on our conversation with Renee McHugh, and we're getting to know Ronnie Newton, so I think we're finding our way in the publicities.
And I put the event on both the WeHa and the West Hartford Patch calendars, as well as whatever Facebooks I had access to.
And the reason for bringing that up is I think as we go through this year, we're going to get better and better, and we're going to find more and more contact points, and so that's.
So do you want? Are you tasking to do another one in the fall, or were you just throwing that out there?
If it's possible, James, I would love to do another one in the fall.
Okay. Yeah.
If she's got a mission to scatter herself through the state, and it would be redundant, and don't do it. But if I think we could use another event,
okay.
and we could do it in combination. Like if we wanted to do a combination, Simsbury, New Britain, Bloomfield, sort of a central, that would be good.
Yep, that's fine.
I forget what week, but James, in September is Drive Electric Week. So we should maybe target that week for it.
Okay, I'll make a note of that too.
Item 2B, Town Council presentation. So that was a presentation of our long in the works clean energy plan. And last night was a big night. It wasn't much of a presentation. We got to make a few minutes of public comment. Hendree made a comment. Christine Feely made a comment. Samantha Dynowski and myself. We were item 7C on the town council agenda. I would pass on to all of you if you didn't have a chance to watch it. The town council was really appreciative of the work and of the plan, and all the people who dialed in and spoke as well. So I think we are official.
It passed.
It passed. We did have one abstention, and that was with Lee Gold. He spoke, and I tried very hard to understand why he abstained. So I actually just before this meeting reached out to him, and we'll follow up. But Catherine summed it up. We are an official plan. So after about 12 years, we could retire the plan from April 2009 and put this plan in. So now the fun part, as Hendree says, we get to start to implement this plan.
So we'll just have to make some, take the draft off. I think Liam Sweeney, one of the other councilor members, found some typos that we'll correct, and we'll make it official. We post it on the website at some point.
Very good. Item 2C, just a public outreach, and really this we'll revisit this for a little bit in old business, but with Stephen coming on as a new commissioner, replacing Chris Nelson, Stephen's a great guy. I wanted to make sure that the rest of West Hartford knew he was coming on, so we did get a note on his ascendancy to the commission into wehot.com. He was in the, I think what they call the Biz Buzz or Business Buzz. And I'm doing that, one, like I said, because Stephen deserves to be recognized, but also part of this is making ourselves known to the people of West Hartford. So whenever we get a legitimate chance for some publicity, I want to take it. And I invite all of you to look for opportunities for us to interface with any segment of West Hartford. Except the architects. We don't want to interface with the architects.
Thank you.
Make note that Joe Campanella made a face. And we also participated in the Sustainability Advisory Group. Catherine and Catherine, the two Catherines, Catherine with a C, Catherine with a K, as well as Julie, really hosted and corralled that event. Later in the agenda, you'll see that we have some work to do as a commission. Stephen Sack represented us at the first meeting. And Catherine, this part of the Sustainable Advisory Group is really getting us on track for our August submission. So, and then we're going to switch over to sustainability matters, right?
Yes, that group, we envision their work being kind of two-phased. The first phase before August is really focused on helping document a few easy actions for the application. And then after August 24th, which is when we submit that application for certification, silver level certification, which is the highest level offered in the program right now. Then the SAG, as we call it, the Sustainability Advisory Group, will move on to kind of broader topic-based discussions, just general discussion, and we hopefully will bring in some subject matter experts, directors, or town staff, and then hopefully that group will kind of compile their findings and their recommendations and submit that to town council eventually.
Yeah, Catherine, I would note that I think we should find a word that begins with E and append it to Sustainability Advisory Group so that SAG becomes SAGE, or maybe we could become a saga, but SAG kind of has a negative connotation there. Okay. I'm still a little bit giddy from last night, so forgive me. Go back to our agenda here. Old business, we really just talked about the clean energy draft. It is no longer a draft once we fix those typos and get the word draft off of it.
So then that can come off the agenda as well, right?
Absolutely. We'll take that out. That's our goal, is to take things off and get them done and take them off. I think public art and EV chargers, I think that's on hold, and per Catherine's point, I think we'll take it off unless it resurrects itself. Item 3C, we've had several visits in the past from Hendree and the students. I see a couple of the students are here this evening, and I would like to just share, if I can find it on my screen, your resolution. Is the resolution up for you all? Can you see that?
Yes.
Oh.
It is, yeah.
So to set this in context, Hendree, I think you have a path towards town council adoption of this in the fall, September, October timeframe?
Yes, that's right. We're supposed to go in September to Community Planning and Economic Development Commission, and hopefully from there advance to town council.
So on the agenda, I called, signified this as us voting on this. In a way, we're a stepping stone towards that ultimate recognition. So consider this a review. If we have comments, we can pass them on. But I do think at this point, you've taken a lot of our input here, and I'm hoping we as a commission can say we're good with what's here. Or if we're not, we can note where we're not good. So I think the whereases, I don't think we should spend a whole lot of time because these are pretty factual in nature. So I'm scrolling through the whereases. I will just pass on to you the experience that we had with the clean energy plan. Drafting the resolution, Catherine did a lot of work. She ran it by the, was it Gina Verano?
This resolution?
The resolution for the, I'm just.
Oh, the town. Oh, gotcha. So yes.
Just explaining the path that you followed to get the resolution. So it went through town council, I'm sorry, through the corporation council, and then, but Matt Hart essentially took it and he had the last word on it. So just be forewarned.
Yeah. Was much changed from the draft that you submitted, or?
So actually, corporation council helped draft the resolution. Gina and I drafted it together. And then with any resolution, there's kind of a assessment and impact assessment that has to be done with whether it has a budgetary impact and what the background for this agenda item is and that kind of thing. So I think at this point, just keep in mind that it has to go through those two steps as well. Corporation council has to review it. They will also fact check it for accuracy and things like that, as well as it has to be run through this process of what the impacts from a governmental standpoint are. Yeah.
And Catherine, that happens after you had it voted on at the what was it? Public. What was the standing commission that you all went through?
Yeah, Public Works and Facilities Committee.
The drafting of the energy plan resolution happened after the standing committee meeting.
Gotcha.
The standing committee said, yes, we approve this plan and we like it, and we would like to move this plan on to town council and would like you to draft a resolution for the town council to accept this plan. So this is slightly different from that because there's no plan that goes along with this. Yeah, so I don't know exactly what the steps are, but I would assume it has to go through the corporation council review and the impact assessment as well.
Okay, thank you for giving us the lowdown on how things move forward.
And without going on too much, I will just say that the resolution was reduced to a single page. It was very tightly worded. It is very crystal clear. I think it reflects the orderly nature of Matt Hart's mind. So it was a good experience. I think it was a good resolution. So if we can just click through these now be it resolved and further resolved. So this first one, you're really just saying the town of West Hartford joins what apparently is a growing list of towns. So this is a change, is it not? The 22 towns?
Yeah, I mean, I think when we first came to you, sorry, was that Arlo? I think when we first came to you, we only had four towns, and now we've got Bridgeport joined, and then the Southeastern Connecticut Council of Governments also joined, which represents 22 towns. So
yeah, Hartford just passed theirs.
Oh yeah.
I see Hartford. Hartford's in there.
Oh, Hartford is in there. Okay.
Yep. Hartford, New Haven, New Britain, Bridgeport, Middletown, and 22 towns. So it might be that we're 169. We might be the caboose on this train by the time September.
There's still plenty more.
I know. So this is just basically saying West Hartford signs on. It also basically urges West Hartford to exercise its power, upward pressure, political power. And that's actually consistent with the Clean Energy Plan. We have our fourth strategy is for the town to, without stepping outside of its role as the town, without neglecting its municipal duties, to say, hey, state, from where we sit, this is what we think ought to happen. So I think this, and I'm going through this. If people have comments, please jump in. This was one that I think the last time, Hendree, you and the students were here, we had a kind of a discussion about whether we ought to be supporting something like carbon fee and dividend. I think in your subsequent travels with the mayor and the town manager, they seem supportive of this.
Yes. In the we went to the Conservation and Environment Commission, and they like this a lot. This aspect, it tends to be, it can be a little divisive. Sometimes, like the Sierra Club, for example, doesn't necessarily, they can't endorse carbon pricing legislations per se. They have kind of a differing view on how to tackle the same problem, but it tends to be very popular in the business community because it's relies on kind of free market innovation to handle the challenge and provides a consistent and predictable business environment in which to work on this problem. For example, even the Petroleum Institute has endorsed it. I don't know if the Chamber of Commerce has officially endorsed it, but they said of all the different, for example, regulation or subsidies or carbon pricing, they like carbon pricing the best.
Speaking personally, I agree. ExxonMobil, if I'm not mistaken, supports something like this.
So I think the wording around the energy plan should be updated since it's passed now.
Yeah, we weren't quite sure. We left it in there, and we didn't know if it would pass or not. But if it didn't pass, we wanted it in there. But yeah, now I guess we can kind of take the energy plan.
We can take that one out. Okay, and yeah, jumping back here, I think the Sustainability Advisory Group is going to fit this bill, correct? That will form a climate change commission or repurposing the existing commission.
The Sustainability Advisory Group will not, are you saying it will be the Climate Change Commission? The Sustainability Advisory Group is a temporary group.
Okay.
Not be the Climate Change Commission.
Okay, so this is not, I was thinking that was a precursor to repurposing an existing commission. So this should stay in. This is something we still want to do and we haven't done.
Yeah. Karina, you want to take this?
Sorry, are we talking about our Climate Change Commission?
Yeah, like in its relationship to the other commissions that already exist in West Hartford.
Right. Obviously, I believe there are three. This would make it three commissions that are all, tackling kind of an environmental goal. But we would want our commission to focus more on, like helping the town of West Hartford solely focus on what we can do as a town in terms of sustainability, and we also want it to be more of a permanent thing, to treat climate change as a long-term, like it's going to be here for a while, as opposed to the task force that we have, because I believe that'll be temporary. So we want something that's going to be here for a long time and really create some dramatic changes.
All right. Okay. So
I think the standing committee will have questions about that. What is the date that you're presenting this? Do you have a date?
I don't think we have a date yet. I could figure it out. It's the September meeting of CPED.
Okay, September. All right,
Sep-
September,
yeah.
October. So I think the standing committee will have questions about this. And again, I think it's just a matter of timing. I envision that the SAG, the Sustainability Advisory Group, is going to kind of offer some recommendations or kind of try and wrap their head around what commissions are active and responsible for different aspects, what existing town commissions are active and responsible for different aspects of sustainability. And where there's overlap or where there are gaps, they might make some recommendations about, reconfiguration or formation of new commissions, which would be along these lines. But I don't know exactly how that's going to play out by September or October.
Right. Well, and I assume that if the task force was going to either at the end of its tenure become the Climate Change Commission or recommends for some other commission to be created, it wouldn't necessarily. I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to happen in September. This resolution. I assume there's going to be some brainstorming on the part of the town about how to fulfill that charge.
Right. And Hendree, as a member of that Sustainability Advisory Group, can obviously influence and suggest to that group what those recommendations might look like. So
yeah,
absolutely. One question I have: did you guys send us or put together in a packet those resolutions that were passed? Hartford's, the COGS, all of them? Because I would bet that the town manager, who is very detail oriented, would like to see all of those resolutions that have been passed to date. What are there, about 8 or 9 or 10? So, and quite frankly, I would like to see them too, just to see what their whereases look like and what their be it resolves look like, just to see which ones we kind of latched onto and which ones we didn't.
I apologize. I remember you asked for that earlier, and I guess my note got lost on that. I apologize. We'll get a packet together of all the different ones.
So then
That's just, I think also that's kind of West Hartford's town council's conservative nature. They would like to see what other people are doing as well.
Okay.
And the next three further resolved really talk about having student representation on the Climate Change Commission, working to influence other towns, and setting goals and catalyzing action. So that seems very reasonable. As we've already talked about this plan, I think this can either come out entirely, or we might be able to say catalyzing goals and working with the plan or something like that. So I think this should be synergistically.
That's a way to change it, Bernie. That's a good idea. Instead of taking it out completely, a resolution like works to implement the Clean Energy Commission's 2050 0% 100% clean energy plan.
Yeah, and you can say 2050 or earlier.
Yeah,
you can make a lot of people happy. And then your wrap up. And to me, if I was the town council and I was paying attention, to me, this is really where a lot of the action, where this sort of hits the road, which is The town of West Hartford will henceforth evaluate the environmental impact of every new town policy or action, striving to make each action as sustainable as possible, to use each action to mitigate greenhouse gas emissions, and ensuring that each action can continue to function and withstand. So we're going to participate with everything that we do on looking at mitigation and adaptation, and depending how low they want to lower the mower blade, that can impact everything we do. So if we're going to put up a new animal shelter, it should be net zero. If we're going to pave roads, we should look at, we have better alternatives for the macadam we're using. If we're going to buy new, I could go on, but. And I think Catherine and Hendree, did not Middletown actually, once I think Mayor Fleischman really sent to all his town departments, said, we're going to sign this, tell me what you're going to do. Was that the case?
Yeah, well, after the resolution was passed in the town of Middletown, and I have a copy of theirs, then there was an internal memo sent from the first selectman to the department directors, asking them to report back to them on how they were addressing climate change in their departmental operations, and if they weren't, what they were planning to do in the future. But they were required to report by a certain date, and I have not checked back with Middletown on how that initiative is going. One thing I'm just throwing out there, so that there's no mention of equity or climate justice here. I don't know whether that's something which other towns have included, or we want to include, or we want to leave out. So, or maybe there is, maybe I missed it.
Yeah, some of the other towns have included kind of our climate justice. I'm not exactly sure what concrete, definitely in our whereases we've included that material, but I'm not sure what the other towns have done in terms of concrete steps to, just because unlike say pollution, which is very local, say from a factory smokestack, climate change is really affects the whole world. Carbon very quickly, disperses itself in the atmosphere. So the idea that I heard that I liked the most, we contemplated putting this in, but we decided it might be a little too controversial, because we were big on having youth commissioners on the Climate Change Commission, but I'd heard an idea from Julia Farber about some towns who had paid or given stipends to underserved communities in town, representatives from underserved communities to participate, whatever it might be, some kind of compensation for babysitting fees or the time involved in being on these type of commissions, to help them participate in the process.
Yeah, Providence, Rhode Island was a big, undertook that initiative as part of writing their climate action plan. And so Rochester, Minnesota does that as well.
They do, okay, in Rochester, Minnesota. Yeah, so I like something like that. I don't know how, you guys can tell me better if something like that would fly in West Hartford.
So I asked, in terms of the sustainability advisory group, whether the town had ever done something like that, and received the answer back from the town clerk's office, no. Both Julia and I mentioned that kind of model to the town manager. It has not been done in the past, I guess. I don't know whether there is an appetite for it in the future.
Yeah, that could be potentially something that we explore through the sustainability, the SAG.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that would be a good consideration for us to possibly add to a resolution. I kind of like that. I also think that, like, certain areas, it might give more people to kind of voice their opinion. So we kind of get more opinions, more ideas, and we're not kind of excluding people who might want to voice something.
And there might be, I think it's a good goal. It's something I think we as a commission also have to face, is how to reach some of the people that really need it the most, and actually, in some ways, have the least efficient housing stocks, and actually therefore produce more greenhouse gas than they should. We may have to go to them. It might be a variety of ways, whether it be cell phones or different, finding existing community groups where we can connect. So I think all the commissions sort of face this. And I think it's something we should collectively work on. I don't know, but back to your point of what you put in the, I'm with you, Catherine. I think it's a big consideration, equity. So
Yeah.
Hendree, I might also suggest that if you can find a subset of the sustainability advisory group members who are interested in climate change and your particular interest in this resolution. I know you brought it up at the end of the meeting, and that was your sustainability wish. I would, ask them for some feedback on the resolution too, just so you can get some additional eyes on it.
That's a wonderful idea. Yeah, I should have thought of that. I didn't. Yeah, with the equity, I really think the key is participation. It's great. It's great to be informational and get information to people, but I think where it really starts to feel equal is when you've got that kind of participation. That's why I was so drawn to the idea. But there, that might be. I don't know if West Hartford's ready for that step or not. And climate change is urgent enough. I don't know if it can wait until West Hartford, if that's going to be what's holding everything back.
I think it also could be, so I think also in the, whatever the commission is, participation, but I also think in that last one about the lenses, how you look at the town actions as well. It could be
we could put
as well.
some language about equity
or climate justice or climate equity down there.
So Hendree and crew, I think you've got a number of takeaways. Would anybody on the commission like to say anything ought to come out, or that you have register a disagreement? Well, I think we've added a few things, made a few suggestions. Okay, I will take silence as that nobody has anything discouraging to say.
No objection.
No objection. I think you're not done, so we're not really signing off on anything that's complete. I don't think you're right, Hendree. West Hartford, the world is not going to wait. Climate change is coming faster than we all. It's coming fast, and so I think the process that you're doing, you should consider it part of the resolution. To me, the resolution is the period on the end of a sentence, and you're writing the sentence, and you're doing the outreach, and that's really the work that needs to be done. So I don't think all of this is a waste. It shouldn't be a waste.
No time like the present.
No time. That's all we have. Okay. Well, thank you as always. I think you're on a good path here. Thank you for all of you for your support on the plan, and I view this as very synergistic with that, and so I think we will work to get this through as well from this commission.
Okay, just to clarify, Bernie, you don't want to do a vote to endorse or anything. Just
I think we could do a vote to endorse. I would. The reason I said I don't think I think we'll endorse it, but I think you're going to change it after we endorse it.
Yeah, I mean, given what you guys have said about how it moves even after it goes through, if it goes through CPED, even after it'll continue to change all the way to the end. So,
but okay, to your point though, I would make a motion to endorse this subject to the points that have been made in this conversation, and recognize that really nobody had anything negative or anything to come out of it, and maybe we'll take a vote.
I would just, can we just vote to support the act of bringing a resolution, a climate change resolution to town council, or to the, to jointly work with CCL to jointly bring a resolution in front of the whichever committee it is, and then to town council in the fall. Maybe we can vote on that and not the actual wording of the resolution right now, since it's not finalized.
I think that's
Make sense? Is that enough?
I'll second that. Have we not already done something similar?
What's that?
Have we not already done something similar? I feel like we've sort of
I don't remember.
collectively thumbs up this.
Well, we have two hands, so I'm willing to give them two thumbs.
I mean, at a previous meeting, I feel like there was a formal, like the council or the commission was behind this.
Say that last part, Max.
I feel like
I'm
at a
gonna check
previous
the
meeting,
minutes.
we were formally behind this effort.
And we took a vote. We took a vote.
I might not be remembering though.
I'm gonna look. I can check the minutes. I don't know when it would
Yeah.
be.
Yeah. What month? Maybe April or March?
yeah, when was the last time we were here? Do you guys remember, Evan and Arlo?
I think it was April.
Is it April?
March.
I have it as March 24th.
Okay.
March. Okay, I'm
End of
going back
March.
to March. I've got the minutes up. Climate emergency. Catherine shared the town manager is generally supportive, discussed West Hartford Clean Energy Commission. We'll talk, and we'll bring the topic to vote at our next meeting.
Ah,
That was what was discussed in March. Then in April.
You're faster at finding them than I am, so this is good. I'm glad.
The proposal is being discussed with the town manager and the mayor. So we did not take a vote in April. It does not look like we voted on this unless it was prior to April, prior to March. I'm going back.
I don't.
Yeah, my understanding of what we said before was that everybody was in general supportive of it, but we didn't vote. And Bernie, you and our group would get together, which we did, and kind of talk about the language of the resolution, and then bring it back kind of for, either an endorsement or a non-endorsement, depending on how the committee felt. And and we're fine, if you want to, instead of the specific words, you want to, do a vote to endorse in concept, or, like Catherine was saying, endorse the act of bringing this forward instead of the specific language.
I think we should go ahead and just. I like Catherine's language. I think it was seconded. Let's sort of, unless you change it materially, I think this commission is good. And Catherine, I forget who seconded your motion there, but
Joe did.
Joe did. Okay. I'll just go around the horn here. Dave Mello.
Yes.
James Capella.
Yes.
Max.
Yes.
Stephen Sack. I will give him a chance to get his mic, or if we don't hear anything, we'll count it as an abstention. Bernie Pelletier, yes. Catherine, you started it, so you're a yes.
Yes.
So for clarity, this, just so I type this in the notes correctly, it's
Yes, please.
a vote to support to bringing a resolution to a committee and eventually town council. That's the language we want to use.
A climate change resolution. Yes.
Yeah, okay.
In general, or this climate change, like,
I think
A-
yes.
or A? Okay, just curious.
The resolution as discussed with some of the changes that we made, recognizing that it's not 100% complete.
Mhm.
I think we're violating probably some parliamentary procedure here because I don't think it's really that firmed up, but consider it a strong endorsement.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. We really appreciate the amount of time that this committee's put into talking with us.
No, thank you guys, and keep at it.
Yeah, I second that. Your support has been really great, just helping us keep moving forward.
Very good. Are you going to continue to work now that the school year is out? I hope you're going to stay on this, yes?
Oh yeah,
Yes, we
we'll
are.
still be working on it.
Very good. All right. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So we've covered some of these standing agenda items. Communication. I'm not sure Mike Matthews is still on this, but Joe, I think you've set us on a good course with Renee McHugh, Ronnie Newton. We're still reaching out to some of those Hartford Current folks. We've worked with the Patch, weha.com, Sustainable West Hartford Facebook page is up to 286 members. We've talked about West Hartford Community Interactive starting a series, Energy Matters. I'm going to switch gears here. We have the first one of these is myself and Stephen Sack. This is a rough mock-up. We're going to go through this at warp speed. And Stephen, if you're on, jump in. If you're not on, I'll pretend to be you. So we're calling it, the title would be Bioheat as a Clean Fuel. And again, all I'm going to do is give you a flavor of this. It's not really a presentation. We would talk about the Clean Energy Commission, what we're all about. Stephen would introduce himself, what he's all about. He's an advocate for the use of bioheat.
Bernie, if you're trying to show us something, we can't see it.
You cannot see it. Okay.
No.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I am trying to show you something, and let's see here. I'm going to stop sharing, and I'm going to reshare. How about this? Is that visible? Okay. So title, the commission, who is Stephen Sack, how does West Hartford heat? We've got 21,000 buildings, 12,000 commercial. Natural gas is big, but about 6,000 heat with oil. I would turn to Stephen and say, but Stephen, isn't natural gas cleaner? Until recently, the direction of Connecticut was to encourage natural gas. Stephen would talk about the problems that we have with natural gas. And what is biofuel? Biodiesel. It's made from renewable sources. It has environmental benefits. It reduces all sorts of harmful emissions. And it can help Connecticut achieve its clean energy goals. So that's it in a very quick nutshell. So we have work to do yet. Anybody who wants to look at this deck and comment on it, please, you're welcome to. I'm going to stop sharing now. But what I would envision is that either we would go to Jen Evans and sit in the studio as two talking heads about show a slideshow, or we would do it on Zoom like Catherine, like you and Mayor Cantor did. One of those two ways. We would turn this into a 28-minute, 27-minute show that would. So that's. I know that was quick. I would love to do other sessions. So Max, I know we had talked last session about you thinking about writing an article on HES audits. I think we could do a show on HES audits. I know somebody who often comes to our meeting who's involved in deep energy retrofit of a West Hartford home. That could actually be several episodes. Samantha Dynowski has a heat pump hot water heater. I think we could go down her basement and we could have a nice show about that. So so it's that type of thing. I'm hoping that we'll get Energy Matters onto West Hartford Community Interactive, and I certainly invite all of you to think about things that matter to you, where we could inform West Hartford about things that would help us with clean energy. And we've done some of those in the past. I know, James, you did one on socially responsible investing. That would fit under this heading.
Mm-hmm.
Bernie, I love this idea. It sounds like a lot of work on your part, but it's fantastic.
Well, the first was a lot of work for Stephen and myself, but I'm hoping to lure others in.
Okay.
I have a question, Bernie.
What was that, David?
I said I had a question. When you're talking to Stephen, does a discussion of security come up? I'm thinking about the fact that the pipeline was shut down by nefarious people, and the same thing could happen to a gas pipeline easily. But people who have their own storage of energy would not be subject to that. They would only be subject to loss of electricity. Would that be a factor at all?
So you're basically saying that the fact that you have a big bunch of, you have 250 gallons of fuel in your basement, not at the whims of any pipeline, it could be a security issue. Is that your point?
Well, I'm just saying the fact that, yeah, well, the other pipeline was closed down by outside forces, so security was national security is a problem. Natural gas is delivered in the same manner, could be shut down in the same manner. A person who's proposing an alternative to natural gas might say, wouldn't it be nice to have one that is secure from outside forces? If you own your own energy, if you have a propane tank in the backyard or a tank go out of fuel, you have it. It's not subject to that same kind of interference.
Yeah. Okay. No, I think that's a very valid point. Stephen, I see you're on. I clicked through the deck. I think you might have missed it, but.
Oh, sorry, I guess I must have.
Yeah, no, sorry. I just, I don't know. This WebEx doesn't work well with my laptop and back and forth. So I was listening on, but I couldn't speak. Nobody could hear me. My only, I guess my question to you, Bernie, on this is, you know, along with David, I mean, natural gas is kind of finished to a degree. And it is, you know, in my thinking, you know, the biodiesel is a counterpart to the future of electric heat pump that can reduce, you know, reduce greenhouse gas emissions in Connecticut in conjunction with, you know, the clean electricity coming in. And so, do we want to talk about issues with the natural gas, since the state has really kind of walked away from that stuff?
The slide that I put in there was basically to give you an opportunity to make those points. In other words, the state is changing its direction. That the methane leaks, et cetera, are problematic. That was not recognized a decade ago on the Malloy administration. So I think we don't want to dwell on it. But I think we do want to say that there's a fork in the road, and natural gas is not the path that we should be taking into the future.
Okay. All right. I got it.
And what the point? I don't know if you followed David's point, but I think he was basically saying this is a little bit more secure because a chunk of it is delivered and you have it like you have a big tank of it down on Jensen Road. You don't have to send it through a 5,000-mile pipeline.
No, some of the oil is shipped up pipeline, but the majority of my operations are coming in by ship, not connected to a giant system unless they take out GPS system. Okay. It's definitely a lot less vulnerable to the cyber hacking issues.
So I think that's a good point.
My one comment, and I think I might have made this comment when you sent the slide deck around originally, was just to every once in a while think about what the everyday West Hartford resident who might be watching this would ask. And the one thing that you guys didn't, unless you added that slide, Bernie, I might have missed it. I stepped away for a second. Was is bioheat, we're using that term, is bioheat the same thing as biodiesel? Because biodiesel is the colloquial term that everyone hears and uses. So I would just ask and answer that question.
Okay. So
not to me, when you're on it.
Yeah. So I think it is in there that the bioheat is a combination. I think I put it in there, a combination of biodiesel and heat oil together. So, yep.
Yeah, I think, Catherine, it was. I just typed this, but I think, how does it relate to biodiesel? I don't know. Can you see it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was in there, and so I think Stephen and I have like one more round of this. We'll send it around for your critique, and then we'll head into either Jennifer's studio or Zoom, one or the other.
To push your point here a little bit, Catherine, is there something else since that I'm not addressing to the average person who might have questions that I don't recognize or think of?
Well, I mean,
bring up.
I would say, if I'm someone watching this who might think, well, I want to do something to reduce my emissions, and maybe this is a choice. So, can I put this directly into my furnace? like what's the, how do I make the switch?
Yeah.
Like, who do I call? How do I do it? Do I need to do anything to my furnace? Do I just call it up and get a delivery? Like, if I have heating oil in my tank already, can I just add this? Like, that's what I'm saying. Put yourself in the seat of the person who would be asking the same questions you would ask if you were getting a home energy audit,
Yep.
Like, what do they do?
The practical considerations.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, I think I got most of that kind of in there, except for where to go find it and how to go find it. So I will throw that part in there.
And Stephen, I sort of typed as Catherine talked, so I've got some of it too.
Yep, I'll put a couple links in there where they can look up fuel dealers who participate and really sell bioheat, where they can call a bunch of different companies that are distributors of it to the houses. So.
Yeah.
And I think you can do that in your conversational mode too. Like
Yep.
Bernie can walk you through the questions,
And Stephen, I think it's 8:04, so I want to scoot along. But I think in the legislature there was a biodiesel was mentioned as a fuel. It's going to be mentioned in the comprehensive energy plan. There is a path to, I think, 50% biofuel in the bioheat by 2035. So we might want to throw that in there too.
Okay. Yep. We can talk about that. The bill that just passed, it's on the governor's desk right now.
Yeah. Very good. So let me save this before I lose it. I would ask other commissioners to think along these lines. If there's something you want to do, if you want to do it yourself, if you can think of somebody else who would take your idea and produce it. Clearly, you don't want Stephen and I to be the ongoing face of this. But if you know somebody, if you have an idea, let's start thinking about this kind of steady outreach. We could also repurpose it anyway.
Wait, so Bernie, just like you remember when we went on the tour of the wind turbines in Connecticut?
Yes.
Like, you're thinking along the lines of perhaps getting like maybe that I can't remember his name, Greg? I think it was. Maybe someone like him. Would that be something you're thinking in this series as well?
Certainly, like a virtual tour, if we could do that, or a group of us could do it, or we could interview him. Yeah, anything that's in this vein and would be interesting and informative for people.
I don't think we have to think of windmills, though. I think there are, like Bernie has pointed, out, there's a need to script the heat pumps, the energy retrofits, the HES audit. I mean, I'm not sure that touring, a windmill on top of the mountain is the best way to be reaching out to the community at this point.
Okay.
I think
Fair enough.
we know the things that we want to begin to point out, and we just need some time, and effort put into scripting those things.
Yeah.
Once we get through those, then we can concentrate. I think going back to was it Southington?
Yep.
Oh.
Was a great experience, and teaching our community more about that kind of effort, I think is a good thing.
So quantum biopower is what you're referring to. Yeah, I could reach out to Paganini again and see about setting that up.
Yeah, I think we got to kind of think. We have to do this. Think you're a resident, and you say, where does my stuff go, or what is this? And if we could illuminate that. I think, Catherine, I think we could probably do a wonderful tour of West Hartford town building roofs with solar on them. I think a lot of people might be interested in looking at King Philip and Town Hall and all the different places.
Yeah, we can work on that.
Yeah.
I can work even directly with Jen just to grab some footage at some point.
Yeah.
Or piece together pictures that I already have.
One thing we ought to talk about is getting a drone with a camera. I might get one for Christmas. I don't know. Yeah. James, I think get the wheels turning.
Yeah.
Think of this as a Netflix series. We want to get a few things in the can.
Do you want to do this like on the heat pump, or not on the heat pump, but like the home energy audits?
Yes.
You can call one or two guys that participate in it and can, maybe come in and give a description about what they do and what they've seen and how it really works. Almost like an infomercial, not selling their product themselves, but the audit itself. So if somebody has, can get some basic idea where they may not have called somebody in.
Absolutely. And exactly that, because, if I said I want to sell you something called a Hess audit, it doesn't sound like something I want to buy. Who wants to buy an audit, and who wants to buy something called Hess? What is this thing? It would be great if somebody would say, yeah, you can film them as they go through my house and see what it's like, and we could talk to a homeowner before and after or something like that. Or yeah.
All right, I'll talk to a couple of guys that do this stuff, clients of mine, and see if they'd be willing to do that.
Yeah, I know you know the fellows at Wesson, right?
Yeah, West Yellow, I know very well. I think Wesson's got a pretty extreme program on this stuff internally, so they might be able to do a really nice presentation.
Yeah.
So I also think there are already some very short pre-made videos, like on the Energize Connecticut website. I don't know how old they are, but for example, if your segment is 28 minutes, you can use an existing video and then have, cut to the video and then cut back and have some discussion to answer questions, additional questions, from a provider or from a West Hartford resident once they've seen the kind of stock video. That would save time.
I think we all feel a little bit more emboldened to try our cinematic chops, having lived in the Zoom WebEx world for a year and a half now.
Yeah, because it's only us that see this, nobody else, right?
What's that?
It's only us that see this. Nobody else sees what goes on in these Zoom meetings, right?
Supposedly we're being watched, but I suspect you're right, Stephen. Okay, very good, guys. Catherine, I don't think Weston is on tonight, but you've had some help. He's taken a look at the Town Energy Clean Energy Commission webpage.
Sorry, I don't know whether you briefly mentioned this last time. Yes, Weston Williams, a volunteer with the Clean Energy Commission, took some time, went through all the links and all the kind of network of outdated web pages that we have related to energy on the town website, and kind of summarized that in a document. He was a little more generous than I would have been with my feedback, because my opinion was we should scrap it all and start re-envisioning kind of the structure and the content from scratch. But his take was that some of it was good, some of it was outdated, so he started the process. I have not had much time to spend on it because of all the town council resolution stuff and the sustainability advisory stuff that I'm going to be working on for now till the end of the summer, till that August 24th deadline. But it is outdated. It does need some updating. When it was migrated to the new town's platform, some of the content translated well, others didn't. They've tried to make it a more mobile friendly format with some tiles that are a little awkward on the screen. So that's an initiative in progress. Weston is kind of waiting for my lead.
Okay.
There's the update. And if anyone else wants to, peruse it as well, I think there were some other names assigned to that task. Let me know your thoughts and comments as well. Maybe you guys are more ruthless than Weston was because he's new.
There's this guy named Max de Boisson. He's one of your partners.
He's good at that. I hear he's good at that.
Mike Matthews and Weston. So, okay. I put the heat pump and efficiency education campaign on here. I'm not ready to talk about it tonight. I got tied up with a couple things, so I'd like to defer that to next time. And if I could just talk for 2 minutes about the Sustainable Connecticut August application.
Bernie,
say again, Catherine.
If you're trying to show us something again, we can't see it.
Yep, so I'm going to skip over heat pumps, outreach for Sierra Club Ready for 100. I think we can probably take that off because the plan has been completed. We talked about the EV car event at the top. Catherine, you sent this around. These are the things that really touch clean energy, right? I circled the ones in red.
Yeah, so this is a product for the Sustainability Advisory Group. So it was not sent around to this group. These are the actions within the Sustainable Connecticut program. These are voluntary actions that a town can choose to do for points towards municipal certification under the program. So these are just a handful of actions easy actions that I selected for different members of the Sustainability Advisory Group to work on. And the ones Bernie have circled, these are going to be documented by various people on the Sustainability Advisory Group. Steve and Bernie, I put both your names there because you each came to one meeting, but it doesn't have to be both of you. And, this is really kind of some grunt work just to pull together the documentation. So whether it's pulling together a lead scorecard or the actual municipal energy plan document and identifying certain sections in the plan that reflect the required content. It's really kind of some grunt work, but just to lead them through how the program works to get them up to speed. And as Bernie pointed out, and we went through in a meeting maybe 2 months ago, some of the actions that are kind of in the domain of this commission that are under the program.
And Catherine, number 8.3 there, train municipal representatives. So that's basically if Joe Campanella takes a training.
Yeah.
You sort of want to just say, well, what did you go to and what was it about if I go to a training? So if anybody on this commission goes to a training.
Yeah, so Bernie, you could send an email or I can send an email, but basically my idea here was for you and Ted and Denise and Aaron to send an email out to their commissioners and say, hey guys, if you've attended a training, a webinar or a conference or an event, in the subject area of your commission, so energy related, just shoot me the title, the date, kind of what the content was, and there you go. And then you feed that information back to me.
Right.
So if any of you guys have participated in a training, and this is in the last 3 years, because the last time we applied for certification was 2018. So I think in this age of COVID, maybe you all kind of sat at home and maybe participated in an online workshop or webinar. So just shoot Bernie the date, the title, and if you have a link to an agenda or a brochure or a flyer, send that along too. That'd be great.
Okay.
What's the scope? What?
Energy.
Something related to your commission's subject. So energy, energy efficiency, climate change, equity and environmental justice, whatever it is. Anything. I mean, you know, if
I do 30 hours a year.
use your best judgment that it fits. Architecture, building, design, that all fits.
Yeah.
Clean energy investments, carbon trading, anything like that, it all fits.
Yeah, my guess is we can sort of overwhelm this, so.
Yeah, just pick one. Send me
Pick one.
one. We don't need more than one from it. Pick your best one. And so that you don't flood Bernie's email box, how about you just send it straight to me? That's perfect.
Yeah, flood her email box. That's a rare invitation these days.
And if you haven't done anything and you can't think of it, don't worry about it, because I'm sure we'll have enough from other people. We'll max out. We only need a few commissioners, and then we'll max out and we'll be done.
Just one quick comment, and it might make sense for us as a commission sometime to actually talk to somebody from Sustainable CT, or think about us taking as a group some sort of session together. I don't have a good example, but that thought occurred to me that we all sort of do our separate things, and sometimes it might be good to do something together in that same vein. Okay, I'm going to move on to some new business. It was 2 meetings ago, I think, where we had John Phillips and Catherine Bruns talk to us. It's clear that the Mira plant in Hartford is going to shut down. In the short term, we in West Hartford are okay because our trash that's incinerated goes to Bristol. That's a Covanta plant. I think it was Stephen that said, even though we're not the Conservation and Environment Committee, it does involve energy. It involves energy because when they burn it, they make energy. If we have to start shipping our garbage to Ohio, to take the extreme case, that's going to take a lot of energy, produce a lot of pollution. So from our little perch here in the West Hartford Clean Energy Commission, is there something that we can do alone or with other commissions to make things better? And I guess I would just throw it open, and I think this is an incredibly important and incredibly imminent issue. Can anybody think of anything that we can do that fits within our commission charter to help on this topic? It's a big ask.
You know, talking to some people in this field, in the city here, it seems that this just became very political between the state, the city of Hartford, and Mira. So I don't know of another way besides political pressure to, you know, take another drive at this thing. So I don't know if this is something that the mayor could push for with other mayors to the state to say, you know, enough's enough. Let's get a resolution here instead of everybody running and hiding and protecting themselves with this thing. And meanwhile, all the residents get hammered with this and pollution goes up. Just my input on it.
And Stephen, the pressure you would bring to bear would be to keep the Mira plant open. Is that what you would?
So, somehow, either through some way, either through a private investment or a state thing, probably most likely private, forcing the state to let it, you know, take control and get, you know, see if there's a third party from you know, that would come in and take over, but it's got to be taken out of Mira's hands in order to make it happen. And You know, it also seems like the city of Hartford seems to want to get rid of the plant
Oh, they do.
and the airport to redevelop that whole area down there. So I just, you know, as a commission, it's become very political. So I don't know if this is something, Catherine, you have any input as to.
I don't know. I was just going to ask, does anyone know if the town council has this on their radar or has an opinion or anything? This is not something I have been involved in or kept track of. So I'm not really up on the political aspects or what, you know, whether West Hartford is just kind of riding it out or has a specific opinion either coming out of Public Works or out of the town council.
Yeah, I thought all we'd heard before was that they needed new turbines and it was going to be too expensive.
Yeah, I think that's what I heard from John Phillips.
Yeah, I didn't know more than that.
But I don't know if the town council doing the myriad things that they're doing even has this on their radar screen as something that's going to impact the town. I just don't.
Well, maybe that's something we can do for them, or, I mean, if it's not on their radar, I'm not sure it's our direct responsibility to do it. I would think again that it would be more appropriate coming from John Phillips or the Conservation and Environment Facility Commission. But I would think maybe even just if it's not on their radar, just asking a question.
I mean, it's definitely on John Phillips' radar, right? Because he was the one talking to us about it, and clearly very worried about the costs of waste management that are kind of gonna come to the town.
Right, but I didn't hear if he had an ask of the town council with regard to that.
Yeah, I guess this was in the context in the past of the pay as you throw, right? Like that was the ask, that we do pay as you throw to reduce the trash. Okay.
Yeah. So, well, I could ask Matt Hart. If I'll just ask the question. Okay. Unless anybody else can pick out a counselor and ask them.
I mean, there's no good option for us to advocate for our waste management. If the incinerator is going to shut down, our options are to ship it far away, which isn't great, or do pay as you throw, which is good. And then extending the life of Mira sounds uneconomic for the plant itself, and obviously doesn't solve the local air pollution problems that come from that. So, is it worth another bite at the pay-as-you-throw apple, or not?
I have a question. Steve Sachs is saying,
You know,
excuse me, am I interrupting? Good.
Dave, are you talking?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Talk a little louder.
Steve Sachs said that he was always concerned that maybe there should be a private interest as well as a public interest in solving that problem. In the town of West Hartford, the people who do the pickup of the rubbish and paint people, they do an excellent job. I'm really impressed. I like what they do. Has anyone ever asked management at Payne's company, would they ever consider scaling up to big time and actually creating a resource that would take their trash if there were public and private money to help them do it, make them a bigger player than they are? Has anyone asked?
David, I don't understand. So Paints it picks up the trash now and the recycling. What would be different?
Well, that's all they do right now for the town of West Hartford. They do pick up the trash and put it somewhere. But if they were to be a bigger player, if a private company wanted to partner with them, would the Payne company itself consider itself in the business of taking trash from another part of Payne company and putting it into their own machinery at a place not described yet, but make it a big time corporation, bigger than just picking up trash?
So burning it, sorting it, recycling it.
Yeah, just creating a company bigger than Payne itself, yeah. What do you do with this stuff? How about if you had your own place to take it? Would you be interested in thinking that big? Would you have a real estate for it? And maybe you could make more money by selling it to yourself. I don't know. I'm just good to me. I'm impressed with what they do, but it's not enough.
Yeah, I'm not sure that Payne's is interested in vertically diversifying. I think they are more of a hauler, and that's their core business.
I think
But I don't know.
yeah, I have to agree with Catherine. You know, you're probably talking $150 million project. You know, the Payne family is a very nice family, very smart family, but I don't know if they're interested in $100+ million operation. That's kind of a little bit outside their scope. You know, what frustrates me is that I look at Covanta, where West Hartford sends their garbage, and they have a few of these plants, and they're all making money at this and providing a good. But the one that the state's running is a disaster. From talking to some people, friends who know this well in there, you know, part of the problem was they did it on the cheap in Hartford. So, you know, if it cost them $50 a ton to deal with it, they charged $50, where they really needed to get 65 to put some money to the side for repairs and maintenance, and that was never done for the years. The other part was, from my understanding, that Mira did talk to several people outside companies to come in and take it over and run it, but the current leaders of Mira were not part of that plan, so they squashed everything. You know, even though West Hartford garbage doesn't go there, it's still going to cost us, you know, probably a $30-40 a ton pickup, Catherine, you think? For ton tipping fees?
Well, it'll be $150.
It could be the next time we go out to bid with Covanta when our contract ends.
Yeah.
Absolutely, because
I'm sure the company doesn't really want to get any bigger than. Somebody has actually discussed it with Payne and asked if they want to go big time. Has anyone asked?
well, I think
I don't know.
from my understanding, the state left it up to Mira to find a solution, but they seem to not be able to find one. So it just became a political nightmare. And I don't know if, you know, putting pressure on the town to put pressure on the state to have a different look at it and take it out of Mira's hands to go find an independent guy to do this from, you know, there's a bunch of companies throughout the country that do this stuff, you know, like Covanta. I don't know why they wouldn't want to, you know, take over another spot. But I don't know. It just seems like a shame to squash it all.
Bernie, so I think you can ask the question whether Matt's the right person or whether it's the Public Works and Facilities Standing Commission. I don't know. My guess is that, as you said, they're with everything else going on, they're probably not focused on this issue. And until, you know, they actually start to feel the financial impact of that price rising, you know, John is talking about it, but it hasn't really hit. So until they actually start to feel the impact of it, that it's not going to be high on their priority list. But I could be wrong, but I think it's up to John and Catherine Bruns and some people on that side to kind of push the issue back to the pay as you throw, you know, as much as they don't want to go there. And maybe that's where some residents and the sustainability advisory group can also put some pressure on. But I think we're several months too early right now.
Gotcha. And I'll just
That's
add
my
one
opinion.
thing to the mix. You know, pay as you throw is a mechanism to reduce the volume of trash because you had to pay for it. It made you conscious of what you were throwing out. Joe, I think you participated in some sort of recycling, composting program. Maybe it was Joe or Max. If everybody in West Hartford recycled, composted their waste, their food waste, that could be huge. Food waste from cafeterias and stores, that could be huge. Yard waste, handling that correctly could lower the amount that we have to deal with. So,
As I understand it, it was a successful program that
Yep.
Philip said that it worked.
Yep. And it costs money, which they said they didn't have, but if we're going to go from 70 or 80 bucks a ton tipping fee to 150, maybe all of a sudden things that didn't make sense before will start to make some sense. And okay, yeah, I think we should maybe just periodically brainstorm on this. I think there's a few ideas here. So getting somebody besides Mira to do it, reducing the volume, resurrecting pay as you throw, seeing if it's on the town's web radar.
I don't think we should be doing this, Bernie. I think the Conservation and Environment Commission should be doing this, or whatever new structure the SAG ultimately takes. I think we have our plate full.
Yeah, I think the ultimate answer is waste reduction, and that's
Yes, it is.
decided is outside of our purview.
And I I agree with you, actually, Catherine. I reached out to both Catherine Bruns and Matt on the conservation, and I didn't hear from either of them. So I feel like a bureaucrat saying it's not our job, but our plate is full. So I think we've devoted enough attention to it, and we'll just see if we can light a fire under somebody else for the time being. Okay. Catherine, you have some energy updates, do you not?
Sure, I will share my screen quickly, and oh, we got them. Ooh. Can you guys see my screen?
Yep.
Can you guys see my screen? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So I just prepared these for the 8 o'clock meeting of the Public Works and Facilities Standing Committee, which is tomorrow morning. These are, I think I've showed you these once before. These are the utility budget summaries that I do for that group every once in a while. And this, I do one for the Board of Ed and one for the town side. So these are the numbers through May. There's always a little lag with the utility bills. But you can see that we're running from a budgetary standpoint, you know, almost $600,000 under budget. Obviously, our budget was predicated on normal operational use. What you can see is that natural gas use was way up. And if we scroll down to these charts, you can see that electricity kind of maintained lower. You can see the dip with COVID. Obviously, our electricity use was back up with schools occupied, back up near normal levels. But what is also interesting is this big increase in natural gas. And I think this was in a large part because we were running very long ventilation schedules because of COVID. And with some of our old leaky buildings, we were essentially heating the great outdoors after buildings were unoccupied. Also, rates were a lot, but we did come under budget, as you can see. And that's because rates were a lot lower than we had anticipated. So our big increase in natural gas use was offset by lower than expected rates. So those are just, the gray line here is this year, and the red line is last year. So I'll just scroll down these so you can take a look.
So Catherine, do you think those ventilation protocols are going to be in force when we come to fall of this year?
So when in the fall, the school districts have not solidified their plans on what education will look like for the fall, whether there'll be a full 100% return to learning. I would bet the ventilation schedules will go back into effect. When school let out, we have ramped down our ventilation schedule significantly. Obviously in the summer, we're not, our natural gas goes way down, as you can see. So it won't really impact that. And the fall, we did pretty well, as pretty nicely in these shoulder seasons too. It was really the winter that got us. So the other thing that's been going on, Eversource recently launched a smart schools campaign where they're giving some hands-on assistance to schools with their planning and with project implementation, focused on next falls and what schools can do to become more energy efficient, and pair that with ventilation and control projects. I think they're a little late to the game, starting this initiative now for the fall, because in the schools world, capital projects take, months, not years to complete. But it's nice. So we will be working, we will be partnering. They are offering kind of step-by-step assistance, working with some of the energy efficiency people we already know, but to do some additional free energy assessments and project plans for buildings. So we'll be running a couple of buildings initially through that process. They've been very cooperative. So if they want to just offer it up for a few buildings for every school district initially, but if no one bites on it, then they're happy to do additional buildings for us. So I just recently attended that yesterday, and we'll be taking advantage of that program.
So Catherine, when we do ventilation, do we just swap the cold air out? Do we have any ERV, energy recovery processes?
We have those systems at several schools, but not all.
Do they make
a lot of our units are still 100% outside air units. Yep.
You test it in the field. If you take a school with an ERV versus one without, does it make January and February look better? Can you see the difference?
Yes.
Okay, I think that's a strong recommendation. I'll just say, in addition to Eversource being late to the game, talk to anybody and any heat pumps, furnaces, anything that uses electronic circuitry, any insulation, caulk, all these things, the contractors are backed up. In some cases, they're back ordered a year, is what I heard today on the Contractor Advisory Council.
Yeah.
So it's slow to begin with, and I think we have supply chain issues all over the place. So I think.
Yeah. Envelope, I failed to mention envelope too, Bernie, but envelope was also mentioned in some of the projects that they'll be looking at as well. Yep.
But I think ERV seems to be just critical. And what about just flat out air purification? Like, I know on the residential level, they got ultraviolet light and things like that.
Yep. So air purifiers were mentioned as something that Eversource can deliver pretty easily. Again, I don't know how available they are. We ourselves, through a commissioning project we did last year, took a hard look at a lot of our filtration and bumped up a lot of the filters we were using to more heavy duty MERV 13 filters for systems that could handle that increase. But again, some of those, you know, if you put a heavier duty filter in place, it needs more energy to get the same airflow. So we were trading off some of our units can't even handle the filters, or else the airflow would be significantly reduced. So we went through a process of that. So yeah, so this is the Board of Ed. I don't know if you guys had any questions on this. We did have a significant increase in water use last year, which I think for you guys before it was a very dry year. So I hope we don't see this maxed out again, this high line next fall. And then on the town side, this summary includes everything except, for the most part, Cornerstone Pool, which is kind of in a separate fund. So this is the utility budget for the town. It includes streetlights and things like that. What you'll see on the town side, we are also under budget, less at $265,000. But what you'll see is that the energy use actually was pretty consistent with fiscal year 20. So we didn't see the big increase in natural gas use. A lot of the town buildings, you can also see the charts kind of running at or below normal, even the natural gas use and the water use. So a lot of our town facilities in this mix were critical buildings, town hall, police, fire stations, and all the infrastructure, streetlights and everything were completely unaffected by COVID. We did have some other facilities that were closed, even in the fall, even in the early part of this fiscal year. So those kind of closures offset some of the increase in use at some of the critical facilities. We also had a very mild spring, so that helped to control some of the natural gas use, both on the Board of Ed and the town side. So those are my little charts and my summary. Oop. Don't need page 2.
You do the ventilation protocols with the town buildings as you do with the schools?
Yes, yes. Yes, not quite. The town buildings hours are, the custodians in the schools are sometimes there very late. So we were running the ventilation schedules with any occupants in the building. The town facilities tend to shut earlier.
I guess I was on mute. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right. That was kind of funny. I actually was curious about I was going to bring that up, and not just on the usage, but did the rates go up quite a bit on water?
The water rate has gone up significantly. Actually, it's funny. So I do have, I'm not sure this is a good one.
Looks like significant.
Yeah. So for some reason, I PDF'd the second page, which I don't usually do here. But yes, water rates have been going up tremendously. Natural gas and electricity, not as much over the last few years. The MDC just seems to have no end in sight to their escalations. This past year, it wasn't as large as previous years. The dollars per CCF on the town side is a little skewed because there's a lot of irrigation there, so the fixed costs aren't as great. So the increase is smaller.
I know Derek Slop has tried to intervene with the MDC and kind of got shot down, but as long as William DeBella's in there, he's going to rape us for everything.
Yeah. So, I mean, I interact with MDC from a billing perspective quite frequently, And we've also had, we finally brought them to the table, quite a lot of their staff around some billing issues and operational issues that have been simmering for many years. We recently actually got them to remove the clean water project charges and the sewer charges off several of our bills, for properties like community gardens and traffic islands, like landscaping, which are not even connected to a sewer. There is no sewer on the property. So that was a big win because it's something I've been looking at for over 10 years. Because I just could not fathom that MDC doesn't have a procedure for submetering of irrigation. But that is not something they do, whereas many other water authorities that I've dealt with, you know, for example, if you have Hall High School and a separate irrigation meter or even a sub-meter that irrigates the field, typically you would not be charged anything related to sewer or sewer type assessments on the water use for irrigation. But MDC does not have that provision. So you are billed for all that as long as there is a sewer connection on the property service address of Hall High School. So I'm actually in conversations with Todd Dumay and the town manager about how easy it would be to subdivide some of our lots to avoid those charges. But we did get some billing issues straightened out, and I think we will be getting some credits back for some charges that were assessed to us where they shouldn't have been. Yep.
That's great. Catherine, any progress on the battery electric vehicles, the grants?
We had some bad news back. We were not denied, but we were told that the full cost of the electric vehicles we put in for was ineligible, and that the grant we had applied for would only fund the incremental cost of the EV over a regular gasoline replacement vehicle. So it was kind of disappointing because the wording of the language was not very clear, and the gentleman at Krog and I tried to fight it, but we have resubmitted for the incremental cost. I don't know whether we'll get it or not. I have not heard, and then we'll have to make a decision at the town level whether we can find the additional money for those two EV Chevy Bolts for the building inspectors elsewhere. So I'll update you. I'll update you next meeting.
Great. Okay. All right. Any further comments? I think we're at the public comments section.
Hey, Catherine.
Yes.
So the used car market pricing is insane these days because there just are none. What? Did we look at trading in? I don't know how many cars you're looking at, trading in two of the town cars that the inspectors are using to purchase new ones. I mean, I just bought a new car the other day, and I got paid about $1,000 to drive the other car for a year and a half. I made money on the car, and it was my daily driver. I just don't know if the town's looked at that, you know, trading in. I think you're talking about the guys are driving around Ford Tauruses or something.
Yeah, I do not know. I do not know, Steve. I would have to ask Public Works. I do know that the vehicles we were going to be replacing are very old and have issues. So I'm not sure they are worth much, but I don't know what the market's like.
Yeah. Might be worth checking, because I think I've heard the same thing Stephen has. That there's just not, you can't have them.
I would bet that our fleet vehicle guys know that, but I could be wrong. I will mention it.
Good question, Stephen. Okay, it's 8:53. And I hear a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Alrighty.
Aye.
Don't see anybody objecting. Good night, all. Thank you.
Good night.
All right,
Thanks.
take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Catherine.
Bye.
Bye-bye.